We live. All right. Welcome back, guys. This is Lateral Money Moves podcast. I have brought a guest. I promise you guys, I delivered. I brought a guest. He's a seasoned guy, been in the been in the space for a long time, a little bit no here and there. Looking nothing but maybe 31 looking kind. I give it that. I hope I look as good. You know what I mean? When I get into my era. This is Mr. Will King, guys. Mr. Will King is on the show live. Ms. King, please give us a
What's
little
up, man?
background. Man, thank you for being here, bro. Because man, it's a long time coming. Good things come to everyone that waits. Good things will come. It's a long game, man. Thank you for being here,
Right.
brother.
Thank you as well. I
Can you give us a
appreciate
little
you.
background, man? Of
Yeah,
course, of course.
absolutely.
Give us a little story. Give a little background. Give it. Don't spare no details now. We want to hear it all.
Man, I don't know we have enough time to hear it all because this is yeah, you talk about a 34-year journey, man. This is my 34th year actually. I'm probably telling my age a little bit, but yeah, this is my 34th year in entrepreneurship since 1989,
Wow.
in which has all been in the financial sector in some way. So the first 24 years really dealt a lot with retirement planning, annuities, insurance, things of that nature, those type of products. So did that for about 24 and a half years, built an organization, was really blessed to have three offices, one which was in DC. Then we had one in Baltimore and then one in Atlanta, managing, I don't know, maybe over 150 agents. So very, very exciting. You know, when you right out of high school, I started that about a year out of high school. And so, you know, you
Wow.
young and you got a lot of energy and you're wild and you're innovative and all that good stuff. I still have the young, I still have the innovative, probably not as wild, still a little crazy because I think that's what faith is about, is you got to be
You need
crazy,
some mud.
you
You need
know?
some mud.
Yeah. So, and so the last 10 years has really been real estate investing, business funding, and business and personal credit has been over the last 10 years. It's kind of what we stepped into. So it's been a journey, but it's all about serving people. It's all about bringing people to another level, elevating their consciousness when it comes to finances.
Yes, sir.
So that's in a
Most
nutshell.
100%. Hey,
Yeah.
listen. The spill, you always trying to recalculate, refine tune that spill. That was good. That was perfect. I got the whole thing in a short period of time. That was amazing because mine is even shorter. So today I've been on my content. Everybody watch me. I've been talking about, trying to make sure we get the correct information in place. And there has been so much controversy, so much back and forth about all the trade lines and everything. And I done heard everything from every which way. I mean, we got 18-year-old credit gurus now, and they get, 10,000 followers, and then next week they up to 50,000. Not necessarily giving the correct information out. So we just here not providing a 1 minute reel. We're gonna come together and put it on a podcast and gonna give you some facts.
Mhm.
So my first question now, it's gonna be two. I would like for you. I'm gonna keep this very broad because we want to soak up all of this. This is gonna be a learning experience, and I'm taking my notepad out as well. What are trade lines, and why would someone need trade lines? Why would someone want to add trade lines to the credit report?
Okay. What are trade lines? Trade lines is really simply just an account that you go and apply for, and let's say that you get approved for that account. That account then starts reporting on your credit reports. It could be an installment trade line. It could be a revolving trade line. So really, it's just a trade line. It's an account that you apply for, and over time, it reports the history, which is like your payments of that account. It also reports things like how well you manage the credit that you have, and that's more when it comes to revolving credit. That's what trade lines are. So I think that when you talk a lot about trade lines in the space you're speaking of, people are speaking about authorized user trade lines.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So the difference really is, rather than you going, applying, and disciplining yourself and building that particular trade line, the history and the payments, someone else did it. Okay. And as a result of someone else doing that, you then say, hey, can I piggyback? That's a term that's been used for years. It's piggybacking. Okay. So you just simply say, hey, can I piggyback off of your credit history? You don't need a physical card. You're just wanting to piggyback off of the good history that they built. That's an authorized user trade line. So you have primary trade lines, you have authorized user trade lines. So I think a lot of what you're speaking about is people talking about authorized user trade lines. And when we speak to clients, that is exactly the term that we give them, is authorized user trade lines. Okay. Now, why would a person need them? Well, people typically need them when they have high utilization on their revolving credit accounts. Another reason that people may need them is when they have very low age, meaning that, let's say they have 2 years of history, 2 years of age on their credit. So a lot of times getting an authorized user trade line that has 10, 15, 20 years of age, that's going to really improve your credit profile, because age actually accounts for about 30 to 35% of the credit score. So when you have a good age on your credit, then obviously that helps to improve your profile, which also helps to increase your credit score. So those are the main two reasons that we find people need authorized user trade lines.
Right. So that's why I love leaving these questions very broad, because you get the rebuttal behind it. You get the whole thing, because, like I said, all that information we get on these 1 minute reels, you kind of get just broad. Some terminology's right, some's wrong, some's not necessarily giving you the whole information about it. It's just giving you
Mm-hmm.
leaving open doors, leaving pockets, giving you pockets of information is the main thing. But the biggest trend right now is trade lines are illegal. That's the biggest thing. They're illegal. I don't find a place that you can buy them. They are legal here, but it's illegal for you to do it. But if you come to me, I know the actual legal way to do it, which is amazing to me. So, Mr. King, if I can ask, are trade lines illegal?
Are trade lines illegal? That's like me
That's what they
having,
say.
I'm going to use this example to answer that question. So it's kind of like me having Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe's in his 70s. Uncle Joe's always had great credit. He managed his credit well, kept his credit utilization low, always paid his bills on time. Okay. Now, on the other hand, I might not have been as disciplined. Okay. But now I'm realizing, hey, it's important for me to have really good credit. So I start this journey and I go to Uncle Joe and say, hey, Uncle Joe, I'm trying to build my credit. And I know you've been really disciplined and really great with your credit. Would you mind adding me as an authorized user on one of your credit cards? Uncle Joe says, oh, nephew, no problem. Sure, I'll do that. And then I even tell Uncle Joe, hey, Uncle Joe, I don't need a physical card. I just need to, it reporting on my credit so that it'll kind of improve my credit profile. Uncle Joe goes ahead, calls a card company, gets me added. Okay. The card then is added to my credit profile. It automatically improves my credit profile, improves my credit scores. Is there anything illegal about what I just did?
Not that I know of. Nope. Mm-mm.
Absolutely. Now let's throw another thing
Nope.
into it. Let's just say I tell Uncle Joe, hey, Uncle Joe, I'm going to give you $200 for adding me to your authorized user trade line, to add me as an authorized user to your trade line. Uncle Joe says, okay, hey, nephew, thank you. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it. I go buy me a cup of coffee and a sandwich or whatever, right? Is anything legal about what I just did?
Yep.
Illegal about what I just did?
Nope.
Absolutely not. So there's the
Absolutely
answer
not.
to your question right there. There's the answer to your question.
Absolutely not.
It's been done for
There's a
years. Yeah, it's been
years,
done for years.
years.
Yeah, yep,
See, your uncle, the uncle in your example is nice. See, I got uncle named Uncle Mac. Uncle Mac is old school, and you from the South. Uncle
yeah.
Mac, man, you coming to the Mac, you try to say, hey, Uncle Mac, you know what? I need some help. Can you add me on? Uncle Mac say, yeah, I can do that for you. Yeah, I got you. I got to do that for you now. Now, this is what I'm gonna do for you. You get the first month free. Okay, what that mean? That mean you gonna come up with my money by month number two. That what that mean.
Yeah.
Uncle Matt gonna make that money. And then he say, "Look here, I'm just giving out life lessons." No, he know he was slick at the mouth too. He old school, man. The man got gold and everything. But basically, his example, that's my experience in that same scenario. I'm telling you, Uncle Matt would put you on there. I mean, he been doing this thing. The man got some good credit. But if you want to get off him, he needs something back. That's
Well,
exactly
you
how
know
that
what?
goes. Long story
Now,
short.
now check this out. That was an example I used because I have gone to family
Mm-hmm.
members, and a lot of times, and the funny thing about it is, you even explain to them how the risk is almost totally eliminated. Okay, because if I
Of
have
course.
the account reporting but I don't have a physical card, what is the risk to them? There is no risk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have no way of running up the card. I have no way of making charges. So there is literally no risk to them at all.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so if
Exactly.
you
I
got a
know.
good
I've been in this conversation.
family, yeah, if you got a
I've been
good
in this
family member
conversation.
that'll do it,
His reply.
yeah,
Listen, his reply was, first of all, you won't get no card, no how. I don't know why you thought that was gonna be a thing, no way. So, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. You won't get no card. I'll put you on there, but you won't get no card. He made
here
that
goes Jack
very
with my
clear. You know,
credit.
that wasn't even gonna. No, 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 bro. Look here. Like I said, now this we gonna pay me. Yes, all right,
Yeah,
yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
and you don't
But
mind it. You don't
let's
mind
get.
paying.
Oh no, oh no, big uncle. No, I don't mind. Uncle, old school man. Been in it, learned. Look, went out there, learned the hard way, and then surrounded himself with the correct amount of people and got smarter. And then, of
Mhm,
course, got into the building his own businesses, been working his own credit, things like that. So, but that was years. I mean, older than my mom. My mom born in '55, and now that man is vacation everything.
mm, it's good.
Watch stock market. That's all that man do. That's all he do. If you understand him, you're in a good company. You're in good company. That man from this South, trust me. So we have a professional here that has been in the finance. As y'all just heard the backstory, is has immaculate experience and can give you a lot of knowledge when you're trying to go out there and get funding. So, Mr. King, if I could ask you this, right?
Hmm.
If a person was trying to just not actually just running up and just swiping and just and going out there and applying for all these credit cards, not just going up there, have no plan in place or nothing, how would a person get ready for funding? What is the right pre-reps they need to do to get them right in the right position to
Hmm.
acquire funding in their business?
Great question, because preparation is really key. It really is. I was sharing this with a client on Saturday. Being prepared before you go and make big purchases. So the first thing that I would say is know where your credit is at. You got to know where your credit is at.
Mhm.
You don't want to go and try to get funding or a house or a car, and you don't really know where your credit is at because you don't want any kind of surprises. Okay. So the first thing is you got to know where your credit is at. Another thing you have to ask yourself is, do I want to do it myself, or do I want to bring on a professional that's in the space that I can trust and I feel I have a um, that resonates, because though
Yes,
sometimes
sir.
people can teach this, sometimes, and it's nothing bad, how a person may teach it, their style may not resonate with you. Okay. So it's good to be able to have someone that you can resonate with, that you feel that connection with, that you can say, hey, I'm looking to get business funding. I'm looking to do this, this, and this. And you have a conversation, you know. But the very first thing I would say is definitely you want to make sure you know where your credit's at. Okay. Another thing is know where your
Right.
finances are. Okay. Knowing where
Yes,
your
sir.
finances are basically is saying, if I were to take on this loan, am I able to make sure that I can pay it back? Okay. That's very, very important. Another thing that I would say is know what the purpose of the money is for. Have you given your money a mission? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because if you get the money and you don't give it a mission, well, that's dead currency. Nobody wants that. Currency money is supposed to be moving. You're supposed to be making it work
Hmm.
for you. So those are just some of the top things is have the end already in mind. If I got 100,000, what would I do with it? Have that
Right.
already in mind as if you already have the 100,000. Because when you get it, that's the time you need to be moving forward and hitting the ground running, not then trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it. You should already had that done before
Hmm.
you even went and applied. So those are just some of the basic things that I would say when it comes to getting yourself ready to go get business funding.
Man, see that right there, that answer, I haven't heard a lot of it. You have to be in search for it. Because on
Mhm.
social media, when you just going on your TikToks, you going on your platform, whatever platform you feel, you know, they just say, hey, do X, Y, and Z, 100 grand just hit your account. It's like, oh, that's all you had to do? Oh, okay. Oh,
A lot of us
great.
be doing it if, that was, if it was that easy. How many more people would be doing
Man, listen, if that was it, that millionaire, look, the first of all, that would mess with the whole thing. I mean, the middle class would be a step up. The rich would have to watch out because it'll be a lot more competition in there. Let's make that very, very clear. But just that, but that response is just fruitful. You know, you need to have a game plan in place, and you need to already know where the money is going to go. So once it's locked in, man, look, take off. But when
it?
you
Hmm.
don't have that and you just stagnant and you have that money sitting there, the clock is ticking. The clock is definitely ticking. It's not on your side either. You need to have that money working for you at all times. But that, I'm going to bring another question in. Okay. So, because the thing is, just going back to my example on the social media, 100 grand is like the number now. Everywhere, every video you see, 100K. I don't care what platform you pick one.
Yep.
100K, everything, right? So I'm going to ask this. Let me go ahead and get the playing field. Let me go ahead and give you the story. Now, let's say it's a new business. Now, this new business now, they got their name established. They got their EIN. They got their website. They got their bank accounts. They have made everything. They put everything in place to make sure they're official. Now they're
Hmm.
brand new, meaning that there's no revenue. They're brand new, right?
Right.
My question is, can this business get 100K in funding? And if so, if you know, if so, how would they do it?
Good question. And my upfront answer is it is possible. And I'll give you an example of
Yep.
one of our clients and what we did. So it is possible. Okay.
Okay.
Um, we had a husband and wife here in Dallas. They had a nonprofit. One of the things I explained to them is that we don't do funding for nonprofits per se. So as I had a conversation with them, my question was, hey, is there a part of your business that we can make for profit? Which, okay, they did that. We created an LLC. Once we got all of that in place, I want to say it took maybe 3 weeks or so. Once all of that was
Mhm.
in place, then we then went after getting funding. Now, let me tell you what they had. They both had really solid credit. I mean, both of them were
Listen
over
now.
800 on all of their credit. Now, it's not
Mhm.
even about the score because I'm going to tell you something that is a big myth. People think that it's the score that banks are looking for. Banks are not looking for a score. They're looking at the profile. Okay. And so
Mm.
that's what we teach in our coaching program. It's about how to build a profile that makes you fundable in any situation. So their profile was so solid. I mean, just man, I want to say between they both had probably 12, 13 accounts each on their credit report. Credit utilization was
Mm.
around 8% on one of theirs. I think the husband, his
Mm.
was probably like 4% or something like that. Man, that is solid.
Mm.
Solid.
Yes, sir.
Had mortgage on there, had auto on there. Their credit was solid. So after we got the LLC created and that was in place, we went out to getting business funding. Now, keep in mind, they were a startup. They were under 45 days in business on the LLC. They
Okay.
got a collective
Mhm.
total of 162,000.
Yes, Lord.
162,000. Okay. So it is possible. But the key is going to be how solid is your personal credit because they're going to look at your personal credit. Now, I do understand that we're in a time where you have fintech companies that are certainly popping up. And it is possible to be able to get funding through some of these fintech companies now. But as a startup, they mainly want to look at revenue. So you're not going to have that as a startup business. So that's going to kind of eliminate you being able to go that route as a startup. Now, over time, you may be able to do it. But as a startup, there's no revenue to show. So they don't have much to go off of. Now, they'll do a soft pull, but their main prerequisite is the financial strength of the business. So what we know is if you're a brand new startup, no revenue, obviously no tax returns, no business bank statements, okay, because there hasn't been any revenue generated to go into a business account. Then we say, how solid is your personal credit? Once we evaluate that, we can give you basically a funding projection of about how much you can get in funding. Now, the product that you're going to receive is more than likely going to be business revolving credit cards. Really great products. There's a lot of good things with business credit cards that you can do. Most of our cards, they come with the 0% interest, anywhere from about 6 months. The longest I've seen is around 15 months. Okay. So again, 0%, 6 months, 15 months, man, that allows you to do a lot. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So
That's a good window.
yeah, that's a good window. So as a startup, yeah, you can. It is possible. We've seen it. We've seen it on several. Just recently, we got a young lady who has an insurance agency. She's under a year in business, 75,000. She probably would have gotten 100,000, but she declined on getting the American Express card. So she ended up getting about 75,500 to be exact. So it's very possible. It could be done.
Now, what I want to go back and kind of help the listeners digest, you said they had immaculate personal credit, meaning they
Yes.
then went for PG business
Mm-hmm.
credit cards. Is that correct?
That's
Is
correct.
that correct? Okay, that's correct.
Yep.
Now, if they was going to the fintech companies, what they offer a lot of fintech companies offer a lot of no PG, would they be able to do it?
Well, again, like I stated, fintech companies are mainly going to want to look at your business revenue. And so what they do is they'll have
Yes,
you
sir.
to connect your account with Plaid. Okay. And
Yep.
the sole purpose of that is to see the financial strength, to see how your cash flows, to make sure there's no, NSF days, all those things. So if the business
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have that, how do they go off of that? They can't go off of that. Okay. So when it comes to funding,
The
it's
bank
either
is
going to be, yeah. So when it comes to getting funding, it's either going to be your credit and or your revenue. Now, if you don't have the revenue, well, then obviously they're going to have to look at the credit. Now, I see a lot of times people say, oh, yeah, just go build business credit. You can go and get XYZ in funding.
mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. People think, okay, I go and get 5 vendor accounts, and all of a sudden I can go and get $100,000 in business funding, business credit cards, lines of credit. No, that's not true. And then they state, oh, and they won't look at your personal credit. I mean, if that is happening, I'm open to finding it out. I don't know everything, but what I do know, I know. And we do a lot of funding, and we're in touch with a lot of different institutions. I have a company, a bank actually here in Texas. I won't say the name for privacy, but I built a really good relationship with the
Mm-hmm.
senior loan officer. So they will send us business that they're not able to get funded. Okay. So from time to time, he and I will have conversations and just kind of getting an insider scoop on, kind of the mind of how banks are thinking, right? I tell clients that's important. You got to know
Right.
how banks are thinking, because if you're trying to get money from them, you got to know what makes them say yes. Okay. And so just through some of the
Exactly.
conversations that he and I have, people come and man, they think, oh yeah, I'm going to get business funding, and they're just going to look at my business credit, and I got 5 vendor accounts. These are not true cash credit
Mm-hmm.
accounts, vendor accounts. That's not happening. That's a really big myth that you see. And I've had several people, man, that have come to me saying, "Yeah, I followed this person on YouTube, and I went and I got my address, virtual
Mm-hmm.
address, and got my business phone number, got my
Yep.
website, and got my business email, and I got these vendor accounts, but
Yep.
haven't been able to get any business credit." I'm like, because they're going to look at your personal credit. So my immediate question: how is your personal credit? Oh, my personal credit is jacked up right now. Well, that's the reason why. They're not going to give you cash credit or loans off of just having vendor accounts on your business credit, and they don't look at your personal credit. Not in this day and time.
Right.
There's a lot of changes happening, man.
No.
A lot of changes. So,
No,
yeah,
no,
the answer to
no, they're
that
not gonna do it.
is there's your answer. Yeah.
They ain't no way to ain't no way to do it. So you telling me that these banks are in the business making money, lending out money to make money, but they're not gonna do that just like, okay, cool. They established a business, they got a couple cash accounts. Here's 100K. What that bank got to go off of?
Mm.
That's a
Yeah.
big risk. What's that bank got to go off of?
Yeah.
You ain't got no credibility. Once you establish that business, it's brand new. You like an 18-year-old in the world. I mean, what you got? There's nothing. You have no credibility. It's that comes over time. But we are here to dead all the myths. We're gonna hear from somebody that's seasoned, not old season, not season. You know what I'm saying? Still acquiring. And we got a great story after that because man, we really need this. We need this industry. We need this to the young, the in between, everybody to hear this stuff because man, other misinformation, the people you got to understand how social media goes. We were in the whole era of information. Now it's switched. Now you got people literally make their social media presence off of verifying misinformation. Like they correct, they go back, do reaction videos, and hey, they are now winning because they have corrected this information. And that's needed
Mm.
because everybody's making everything that looks good, it looks glamorous, but then there's no hard truth or facts behind it. The work is there. You have to do the work. That's long story short. You have to do the work. If you want to win, business is that easy, man. Everybody would do it, but you have to put the work in.
Right.
Meaning that if you have bad credit, it's okay for right now, temporarily, but you need to have some type of plan to fix that. Something needs to be done about it because at some point you're going to need it. At some point, so don't evade the problem. If you want anything in business, I think that's a truth about it. You know what I mean? Like you have a problem in your business, let it linger. It's going to grow. It's going to
Hey,
hurt you at some
boys,
point, right?
let me let
Somewhere.
me let me say this as well if I can, because when it comes to
Yes, sir.
credit, we have been really misinformed. Really misinformed.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm just going to throw this out. The details of it will be for another show. Okay. But when
Of
we
course.
understand, when we understand that, and when we understand that we are the ones that bring the credit, the people. Now,
Mm-hmm.
again, it's a very deep topic, but I'm about truth. Okay. And
Yes.
the path that God has had us on, my wife and I, for the last 3 years, and it has really been about unpacking what is true. And I can tell you a lot of things, if not mostly everything that we've been taught, is not true. Okay. So
Yes, God.
again, I just want to say that because you started talking about credit, and it's important that people understand who is the original creditor. Who is the original creditor? I'm going to throw that question out, and I want that to be something that marinates and people think about it. Okay. But when you start understanding that, it is a game changer. It really is a
Oh
game
yes.
changer. Okay. And it has to do a lot with knowing who you are, really knowing who you are.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, like I said, I just wanted to throw that out when you started talking about credit, because that is, man, we live in a credit driven society. Credit is really what's
Mm-hmm.
king, and it's not cash, because we see what's happening with cash. Okay. So
Oh
we
God.
see what's happening with the dollar. We see what's happening with the dollar in other
Mm.
countries. Yeah.
Don't get me
So
started.
yeah, so this I'm about putting out truth. I'm not about,
Mm-hmm.
continually perpetuating uh things that's not true. Okay. And
Right.
so truth is what sets us free, right?
Right.
That's if you follow the Bible, if we let's say the Bible, You know, if you follow the Bible, it
Yes,
says
sir.
the truth, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Okay. So
Right.
that's enough I'm going to say about that. But yeah,
Oh
when you
no,
start,
listen.
I just
We
had to
need
put
it.
that piece in.
Oh yeah, we need it. Long story short, do not evade the problem, address the problem. I
Exactly.
think that's the key. Address the problem. Now, but since you had to go out and give me some, I need some more from you because I know you've been in this space. I'm in this space. We have dealt with interesting people. I mean, some characters, some good, bad, in between. And I know you got your stories. I know you do because I got mine. I mean, I got mine. I would love for you to give us a story, a rememberable story for us to consume while you're in the lending space. Give us a story that impacts you, that gave you positive, gave you you got some fruit from it. I just want to hear something that is really gonna open us up because, man, in this lending space, just to get some people to sign it is just crazy. But hey, that's another story. That's another episode. Please give us a little memorable story that we can marinate on, that has gotten that you have learned from.
Oh wow, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Hey,
I mean,
you
there's
stole you stirred me up.
there's a
You
number.
stirred me up a little. I said, "Oh Lord, wait, now I like that."
Yeah, there's a number of them. If let me see, I'm gonna one that comes to mind that's probably a little recent, and this was in I want to say March or April. I had a client that came
Okay.
to us. Her credit was really good. Her credit was good. She just had high utilization. When we evaluated her credit report, determined how much in authorized user trade lines she needed. So she went on and she purchased the trade lines. They hit her credit
Mhm.
report, brought her credit utilization down to, I want to say, probably 19%, which is a really good number. So we went to this particular lender. Hey, okay, we're ready to get some funding. The lender comes back and they start looking at just one individual credit line. They didn't even consider the overall utilization. They looked at the one individual credit line. It was a Navy Federal credit card. So I'm like, are you kidding me? So I had to go back to her and say, okay, this is what the lender is telling me. They wanted
Mhm.
her to pay that one card down to under a certain amount. She didn't have
Okay.
it. So then I had to put on my creativity and start thinking. And I said, okay, well, here's some things that we can do. So I made a recommendation. Okay, your credit is in a good place. She had W 2 income. So I said, submit over to me. I asked for a couple of documents, sent those to another lender that I work with. So we went out to getting a personal loan. So she was a little discouraged. And she said, well, do you think it's going to work? I said, I believe we're going to be good. I said, I believe we're going to be good. And I tell my clients, hey, you stay in faith. I'm going to stay in faith together. We're going to get this thing done. Okay.
Yes,
It's
sir.
never a straight line. It's never a one size fit all because everybody's situation is different. And so I tell
Mhm.
clients, look, we are resourceful. We are people of faith and we believe we can get the job done. So it's just a matter of how flexible you want to be. So in her case, she had to be a little flexible where we had to take a detour. And the detour was we had to go and get a personal loan. That personal loan, the money hit her account, took about 4 or 5 days. She was able to take a portion of that money, pay down the Navy Federal credit card. Now we had another issue. When does this Navy Federal credit card hit the credit report? Because it
Mhm.
was a tight
Right.
window. I mean, a really tight window. Okay.
Mhm.
So she called, she found out when they report. So we had 4 days before their report. Okay. No, actually, it was when the closing statement cycle hit. So when the statement cycle hit, obviously everything, all the transactions in that period is what they were going to report 2 days later. I mean, it was close. It was really close.
Yeah.
So she got the money, paid down the credit line. It was 2 days before this statement cycle was going to end. So when she paid it down, we then refreshed her credit reports. Okay, great. It reported. We were so excited. And so after that, we went on and got her some business funding cards, business funding credit cards. So she got about 45,000 to start out with because she's doing tax lien tax deeds. And I mean, that was a very interesting story of having to put on my inspiration coach hat, business
Yeah.
hat, just being flexible,
Mm-hmm.
man. And hey, look, just
Yes,
stay in
sir.
faith, don't doubt, because doubt, I'm telling you, people don't understand this, but your thinking has a lot to do with where you are, has
Yes,
a
sir.
lot to do with where you are. And that's in almost every aspect of your life. Your thinking. The Bible says, as a man or woman thinketh, so they will be. So if you think it ain't
That's
gonna
true.
work, guess what? It's not gonna work for you. If you think it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
work, guess what? It's gonna work for you. That is a spiritual law. Okay. And so the other thing I was telling her is like, hey, we have to make sure we be mindful of what we're speaking. Don't speak that it's not going to work. Don't speak that you're not going to get the loan. So it all panned out. It was
Right.
a really good, man. It was just, it was fun. I enjoyed. I was created for this, but that was probably a most recent story. And just having conversations with her and answering some of her texts, and she was concerned, and it was funny. And so
Yep.
after it was all said and done, she was really grateful. She was thankful. For me, it was fun. It was a good journey. It was a really good journey. So those are the kind of experiences that we have sometimes with clients. Very rarely do we get a client to come in, man, and they go straight to funding and they get it and they good. I mean, we do have that sometimes, but that's not always the case. That's not always the case,
People need
and
to
so
hear that.
yeah, it's not
Y'all hear
always,
that? Listen to that, please.
yeah, yeah.
Please listen to that point. Like
Because we
seriously,
creative,
this
man.
is not
We
black and
we
white.
creative. Yeah, we creative and
Oh
we love
yes.
it,
Oh yes.
I
Oh yeah.
tell
We
people
love
if
it
the
now. The
creator
conversation.
lives in you, why shouldn't you be creative? If the creator
Right.
lives in you, you should be creative. No reason why you shouldn't be.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
but yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
I loved it. I loved it, man. I'm telling you, you got to have a couple of tools in your arsenal in this field. I'm telling
You
you,
do.
you can't just have
You do.
one. You got to
Yeah.
have a couple of tools. I mean, you have to have your lenders. You got to have your people skills. You got to have a pivot in place. It has to be a plan B, plan C. You just have to roll with it. But if you are invested and it's a fact that you know that you're gonna get it, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And realize he said that's the first round. Y'all heard that right? That's the first round. There's more than rounds of funding. Just because you got the first, it don't have to stop. It can continue
Right.
as much as you like, guys. That's just the first round. But that creative thing, see that got me going. This is going to be our last question for this one because it hit me because you posted that on our group. We're in the neutral circle. We posted in that group about a service you came up with, and it threw me off because I've got funding for clients, and then we go back, we liquidate the card, and the interest is on the card. Interest rate on the card be, I mean, Lord, you just be like, oh Lord, Lord. Well, wait, now how much you say? He said 18 to 25. Holy. Well, you want the money? I mean, you go ahead. Hey, we need the money off the card. We gotta go do what we gotta do. Okay. But my
Mm-hmm.
friend, you identified the problem. I'm gonna say you and your team came up with a solution to the problem,
Mm-hmm.
and then you came up with a workflow, and now you can now extend the service to this problem. I was like, oh Lord, wait a minute, what happened? What happened? I need it. Where's my notepad? Where's my pen? I need to learn it. I don't know how you did it, but I need to receive. That's what I need. So please give us most detail. Give us all the nooks and crannies about the service that you have came up with,
Mm-hmm.
how you deliver it, what can we see from it, can see it properly, because say everybody's situation is differently. Give us the everything because they got to hear about this because man, interest rates on the liquidate those cards, bro, they are, oh Lord. Ooh. You be like, all right, well, you came from a mission, it is what it is, we got to pay it, let's go. But
Right.
Mr. King, you came up with a solution. I got to hear it. Please give us everything. Don't spell nothing.
Well, let me say this before I answer that question because you were just talking about tools and you mentioned about some of the tools that you have to have. The most important tool that I
Mm-hmm.
really believe you have to have is a care and a love genuinely for people. Seriously.
Right.
Because when you have that, man, I'm telling you, it vibrates. When you have
It
that, it
does.
vibrates. And yes, it's good to have all the other tools, but if you have all those other tools and you don't have a care and a genuine love for people, yeah, you'll make some money. I mean, you'll make some money. You'll do okay, but it's a lot different than making a money and making a difference.
Yes,
Because
sir.
if I make a difference, I'm gonna make
1,000.
money. You follow what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
Yeah, when you about making a difference, when you're on purpose intentionally, you're gonna make money. So I just want to throw that out. But yeah, let me tell about the service. Man, the service came about from a conversation with one of the team members, and we were just talking. And it's a need that we see constantly because business credit cards are one of our number one products. So clients will ask, hey, how can I liquidate this card? I need to use the cash or, something of that nature. And we all know cash
Yes, sir.
advance fees can be pretty high. I mean, I've seen anywhere from about 18%. The highest I've seen is about 29%. Okay. So what
Ooh,
that means is if
yes,
I'm
sir.
liquidating, I'm getting $1,000 and it's 18%, how much does that cost me? Okay.
Oh, too much.
If I'm getting 10,000, how much did that cost me? Okay. It could be a little expensive. So as I was having a conversation, and she just said, hey, think about it. And I thought about it. And so I was in the kitchen, I was sharing it with my wife. Man, she just rolled out the answer. I mean, just like, yeah, we could do da 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 da. We got this software. Da. I'm like, oh man, that is it. So I can't take any credit for it. I mean, it was just, having this mind that's always looking to solve needs. You know what I mean? And
Yes,
that's what
sir.
we should be in the space with. If you're an entrepreneur, business owner, you should always be in the mindset of how can I solve a need? Or how can I be a bridge to help solve a need? Because we don't have all the answers, but we're resourceful enough that if a person comes to us with a need for something, we don't have it, we can say, hey, reach out to this person, reach out to this person. So it's about being a bridge sometimes. Okay. So when we
Right.
saw that need and the constant requests about how to liquidate the cards and not have that high cash advance fee, man, I mean, and like I said, when my wife gave the answer to it, I mean, she just rolled it off like it was nothing. I was like, wow, I was like, I love that. So it was like best answer. So we started putting the program together. So,
Yes, sir.
um, but yeah, the program itself, it's a 72-hour program from start to finish. The interest rate is 6.9. And again, like we stated, and for those that have business credit cards, you receive all of your perspective, different things in the mail when you get your cards. And it also
Yes, sir.
tells you about what your interest rates are, if you have a 0%, how long it's for. It also tells you about if you want to get a cash advance. So if you look on there, you'll easily be able to see how much would it be to get a cash advance on that card. Like I said, what I've seen is anywhere from 18 to about 29% is the highest I've seen. So we said, hey, we can provide
Preach.
the service, provided at an extremely lower rate than what your average rates are. Okay. And so 6.9 is not a bad rate that allows a person to be able to liquidate their card if they need to do that. Now, one of the things I will say, and this is from experience, if you have a
Mhm.
brand new card, just be mindful because oftentimes if you have a brand new card and your very first purchase is, let's say, a $5,000, you're trying to liquidate 5,000 on your first purchase. Sometimes, depending on the institution, that could raise a red flag, which means they may decline it and send it over to fraud. Okay, we had that happen on one of our cards, and when I spoke to the fraud department, that was the first thing they said. Well, it's just unusual to have that kind of a size transaction, on the first card. So I'm not saying that
Yes, sir.
always happens. It's just more of a just be mindful of it, basically. So if the card is brand new, do some normal transactions and then maybe look at
Yes,
possibly
sir.
some of the cash off the card. So
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
again, but I always laugh about that, man, because I'm like trying to figure out how can we get this done. And I go and tell my wife and she just rolls it off. I'm like, yeah. So, I tell people all the time, I'm kind of the mouth of the team and she's the brain of the team. So it's a really good fit. So, but yeah,
Oh,
that's how we can help solve that need.
well, Miss King, I did say you and the team. You see
Yeah,
how I did that? You see I
yeah,
said you and the team.
yeah,
I want to
yeah,
make sure, hey, everybody get the credit now. Everybody, the team now.
yeah,
Okay. But man, I mean, did y'all hear the? Can you say that? Could you say the rate one more time? Because I need them to really hear what you're receiving, what you could
6.9.
possibly get.
Yep,
Six point
6.9.
nine.
Or whatever your
Holy
cash advance fee is. Or
glory,
whatever your cash advance is, excuse me. So if you want
glory.
$1,000, 6.9%.
6.9. Holy man, I ain't seen that. Not never. That's all I can say. Best way I can put that. Not never. But man, you and the thing is, going back to what you said, you get more when you serve.
No question.
You
No question.
get way more. I know this episode, my podcast is about finances, but you get more, way more. I give out information for free daily,
Mm,
religiously, religiously to help people. You're going to gain more. I promise you, Poe. So don't think the dollar is always the end game. Sometimes you gotta help. A lot of times you gotta help. I wish somebody helped me when I was starting this thing. I wish.
hmm
I'll be a lot further. I'll be a lot further, man. This was an amazing. See, I told y'all I'm gonna deliver. See, y'all got stories, we got comedy, we got facts, we got everything in between going on. Okay, this is why we hopefully you guys come back and listen to the Lateral Money's podcast. Mr. King, thank you, thank you for being here.
Thank you,
I
man.
really appreciate this.
Thank you,
This
brother.
was a
Appreciate it.
long time coming. This is a long time coming, and we're gonna do this again, guys. That's our show. Please log in, tell somebody, download it, listen to it. All right, guys. Thank you. I'll talk to y'all next time.